Rex Gardner checking in for €5, saying Marko Stunt being in the ring will increase calls to Child Protective Services, as people tuning in will think they are watching men beat up a child.
As many of you saw, I swore to God that was a fake tweet.
I thought so too. I thought so too. For certain, I was like, "There's no way that's real." That somebody did a really convincing edit here, and then I looked and I was like, "Oh my God, they actually brought Marko Stunted Growth back."
Yep.
Yeah, we were in the Discord talking Money in the Bank, and all of a sudden Marvin goes, "Wait a second, is that real?" And then he disappeared for like 20 minutes. I'm just picturing him writing stuff down, like taking notes. Okay, what I need, like coming up with jokes for headlines or something like that.
Yeah, pretty much. I kind of figured out how to work it, so hopefully it works. But yeah,
did we still find out about the 0.0 demo?
Well, I think Thurston was disputing it today, wasn't he?
The numbers he put out, the numbers he put out were like, it were higher. I'm not sure what they were. It wasn't that much higher. It was only like 0.6 or 0.06 or something like that. But they were higher. So
I guess really, yeah. If there wasn't that much movement on the number, it's pretty much true then.
Right.
It's legitimately nobody in that demo watched that show.
Yeah, all of a sudden everyone's going to stop talking about the key demo, right? Because it's the key demo until it's not. And then it's live, and then it's live crowds until it's not, and then it's cage match ratings until someone says that's dumb.
Yeah.
And you
saw what the goofball did, didn't you? He went from 18 to 49 and stopped praising them, and then he went from that to 18 to 34 and he's starting to pinpoint next week he's going to be like 21 to 23-year-olds really like my stuff. I mean,
I'm telling you, I made the joke this last week on Headlines. I said the key demo, the number of Tony Khans that watched and enjoyed this show has been the same week to week since the start of AEW. Strong number at 100% of Tony Khans that watched this show enjoyed it, and that's the only key demo that matters. Right. But I mean, like Marko, look, I'm not one that's like small guys can't be wrestlers. I'm not one like Shawn Michaels exists, Danielson exists. Like that, you can be a good wrestler and be a small guy. Rey Mysterio exists. Marko Stunt is a step too far. He is a
Rey Mysterio. Like, he looked like an athlete. He looked like a small athlete, but he looked like an athlete.
Yeah.
I mean, the young bucks. I mean, they might have athlete's feet. That's about as old Jerry Lawler joke might be as far as it goes.
I always talk about whenever we talk about the Hardys, both Hardys are over 6 feet tall. They were just smaller men.
Smaller than the giants they were wrestling, but they were still in shape.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, when you put Matt and Jeff in a crowd, they're big men. They're bigger than
I expected.
They're small compared to Scott Effin Hall.
Exactly. Imagine how many dealers Jeff Hardy had to see back in the day, but he still swung by the gym for an hour every day. What's the box excuse?
When I met Mick Foley for the first time, I expected him to be like my height, like around 6 feet tall. I could not believe the size of that man.
Yeah, he's deceptively tall.
You're a 6 foot tall puppet.
Yeah. Well, I typically stand on boxes. It's like one of the head characters you find at Walt Disney World. I expected Foley to be kind of like, like a normal person size, but then I realized no, he just looks like that because he's standing next to the Undertaker. Yeah. I met Ron Simmons one time and I was like, oh my God, he's enormous. It's you don't realize how massive these human beings are until you stand in their presence. And like that. Remember that used to be like one of the things to like push live events. They'd be like, folks, if you've never been to see the Big Show and live in person, you got to come see him because he's big.
Then you look at Marko Stunt. You know what I mean? That's your niece.
Marko Stunt is Kevin Apollo.
Daughter is bigger than Marko Stunt.
Right.
My 9-month-old son is bigger than Marko Stunt.
Kevin Apollo, you have always said that the guy you have to convince at a wrestling show is not the kids, it's their dad.
It's always dad. Dad's the one who's wasting his Saturday to go watch this. And if he's sitting there going, I can whip this guy's ass without even trying, you're not going back. You're not going back. When you have a dad like my dad, who would sometimes get a little lit before the show and may have accidentally taken a swing or two at a wrestler.
I remember they're lucky he didn't make contact, by the way, because your father, outside of Haku, I don't think there's a wrestler that your dad couldn't take. But yes,
we won't drop the person's name, but he was mentioned on the Cornette Experience once or twice, and I remember we were at some high school somewhere, and my dad had a couple of libations, and this wrestler came out, and he was talking shit, and I think my dad misunderstood what he said, so my father got a little fired up. So he got a little fired up and came charging, and the rest was like, "Oh shit, Kev, you gotta calm your pops down. If he comes back here, you gotta calm him down, or at least walk me to my car. I don't care what you do, but I can't be doing this tonight."
How big was your dad?
My dad, when I was in high school, everybody called my dad Farouk. That's how big my dad. That's how big my dad was in his prime.
They call him Farouk.
It's not even just that he's a big man, and it's that he exudes I know how to kill you energy.
Yeah.
He's a guy who you just see the way he carries himself, and you understand that this is a human being that knows his way around combat.
Right. So for frame of reference, I don't think we ever talked about it here. My dad was NYPD. He worked in narcotics forever. He was the number 2 drug enforcement officer.
Just like Tony Khan.
Then he went to Baltimore as their police commissioner for a little bit. After that, he transferred over to private security. Now he trains other countries' secret service officers in hand-to-hand combat and firearms training. Several black belts, all kinds of cool shit, and every once in a blue moon, we go do some work for Paramount for like movies and other crap like that. So.
Mm.
Tell them about the bounties.
Oh yeah. So that's fine. And so when I was younger, when I was younger, we lived in the Bronx. I was going to Catholic school, and then out of nowhere, I didn't know any better. I was being driven and picked up from school in a squad car, and they would bring, they show up at the house, they bring us in, and then I would I would leave school, go to the precinct, and then unmarked car would drive us home. What we didn't know until years later was that when the Jamaicans had come into the Bronx, it kind of changed everything over. They had a bounty out on my father, and they had actually taken a picture inside of our home, threatening to blow it up. So we had security the entire time. This would happen like 15 more times throughout the years. It's like I'd get a random phone call. Hey, you need to change how you're driving home for the next couple of weeks. If you see anything weird, just call this phone number.
Oh shit! I was playing kickball with 45-year-old men.
Yeah, it was like I can't.
How do you do, fellow kids?
Yeah. I gotta say, hey, I think we were gonna go to I can't remember where we were, but I was like, hey, listen, my father-in-law, he wants to bring us to Mexico. That's like, where do you want to go? Tell him where we're gonna go. You can't commit to anything until I make a couple phone calls. I got to make sure it's actually safe enough for you to be there, because if they see your name, because it's my name, we're never going to see you again.
The drug cartel. But didn't he call one of the the Jamaican kingpins when they put the bounty in?
Oh yeah, we can't. We will be demonetized in 5 minutes.
Edit yourself. Do a radio.
All right. So
speak.
Okay. So I do love this story. So I think he had to be like newly. I think this was maybe a couple months after him being a lieutenant. So he finds out that all these drug guys got together. It was like a newer guy, and they put a bounty on him. So my dad knew who to call. So he grabs the phone, calls it, and goes, "Hey, I heard you put a bounty on me." He's like, "I'm actually insulted because it's so effing low." And the guy's like, "What you mean? Why are you upset?" He goes, "Well, I would think that because as a man who just bleeped your girlfriend, that I'd be worth more. If I'm not worth more, I got your mother here right now. She's on my D. You hear her?" And like he's just railing into the, and then the phone call is, "You mother, I kill you, I kill you." And then I'm trying. This is a really hard story to edit.
It's a hard story to edit. I know. Just amazing.
Jesus, that season in Miami, New York Vice would have been lit. Fucking hell.
Denzel observed my father in the street for him. It was a terror movie with him and Bruce Willis and Annette Bening, and he rode with him for like a month. And ever since like he rode with him, he totally stole all of my father's mannerisms. So here's go. Training Day is my evil father's movie.
Oh my gosh!
Oh wow! I just thought we got
the midgets.
So we had a guy who was like undercover, was training like different secret service around the world, but he was a wrestling mark.
Yeah, but he's a wrestling mark.
He could solve all these crimes, but he thought wrestling was legit, and he was taking pokes at the heels.
He would go watch me wrestle and then drink and get lit up and then get fired up. And he's like one of those like because he's martial arts the whole bit. He is super into like the physicality of it. Like he gets that it's all predetermined, but he's like he loves the combat of it. He'll see certain wrestlers and what's Mo's wrestling? Mario Caro, but he is just where he got the TNA. My father loved Mo. Mo was like one of his favorite dudes ever. And every time he would see him, he'd, "Bro, you're a warrior. You're a killer. You got to dig in, man. You got to hit a little harder. You could do all that flying shit, but look at you. You're built like an ox, bro. You just got to throw heads. You got to get in there deep." So he's just one of those guys. Like he loves he's a big beefy man slapping meat guy.